go ahead and continue these Chapter 8 notes Part 1. The previous video just taught you how to create a scatter plot and create a residual plot. And so I am on page 15 right now. And so, essentially these top graphs are what I had students do whenever we didn't have the flow map, and the flow map is where we did our examples. So you can recreate your information here and replot it and label it and such, but if you do not want to, and I'm going to not do that right now, I'm just going to put that to see the examples on pages 13 and 14 flow map. Alright, so then I'm just not going to take the time to reconstruct the scatter plot and the residual plot. So let's go into these questions. Here we go. Part C. Find the residual for optometry and what is its value. Find the residual for optometry. What is its value? And while we're at it, question D is saying, find the residual for veterinarian medicine. What is its value? So, a couple ways we can do this. You know that residual equals actual y minus predicted y. So, we could compute the residual by putting in the actual y and computing the predicted y. How would I compute the predicted y? How would I, this value comes from our actual data because optometry was in our actual data. So if you look at the bottom of page 12, look, here is optometry. It has an x value of 4.2 and the actual y is 13. So that is the actual y for optometry. But looky here, remember our good old function of the least squares regression line? That's how you can compute y predicted. And so, for optometry, I want to compute the predicted y. Guess what I do? Take its x and plug it into my prediction function of 1.72 times x of 4.2 plus 7. So that's what I could do here. I could say, okay, I need to get that. Predicted y is 1.72 times the x value plus 7. And then I've got actual y minus whatever this is. I think it's like 14.25. Okay. And guess what that residual is? Negative 1.25. Maybe it was 7.5. I don't know. I don't remember that. But I do know the answer here is 1.25. Now, I wanted to mention something because, we always want to use our common sense if we can. Do you remember what we had in our calculator? Our calculator list 3, L3's list, ta-da, our L3 list had some very interesting information. Our list for L3 was those residuals. So here is the information for optometry. That x value of 4.2 with the actual y of 13 gives what residual? Negative 1.25. All right. The question D says, find the residual for veterinarian medicine. Well, look here at the bottom of page 12. Veterinarian medicine was this last information you put into your data set. It has an x value of 11.2, so let's go find that on our calculator. Ta-da, 11.2, and then you go on over, and then it has a residual of 2.58. So, ta-da! Very easy. But of course, you could use the function and solve it that way. All right, so let's go on to our next question. It's a very important question because it makes sure that you understand what this residual plot is really telling us. So let's take a look at what it asks. So this question says, does the model overpredict or underpredict the data that actually occurred for veterinarian medicine? Well, guess what? I need you to understand, what do they mean by quote unquote the model? What do you think they mean there? Well, guess what? They are talking about the least squares regression line. So let's just use one of these graphs just to demonstrate. If we've got, let's go ahead and kind of represent this over here on the left. If we've got our least squares regression line and over here at 11.2, an x value of 11.2, our actual was at 13. Well, here on the line, the least squares regression line, this is what was predicted to happen. And here is the 11.2, that is what actually happened. So my question then is the model over-predicting or under-predicting the actual data? And so I hope that you can see that because your actual is higher, then the model is under-predicting what actually occurred. The model is under-predicting what actually occurred. So we want to write that out. So the model is under-predicting because the predicted value, the predicted y, is less than the actual y value that occurred. Okay, so there we go. All right, now we're going to finish this out here. One last idea. In class, we just did letter F and letter G because I want to save H and I for next class to kind of as a little review. So let's take a look at these next two, F and G. All right, letter F. So it says if the degrees for astronomy in 1973-74 for women was 7.8. Let's take a moment, see what that is talking about. First of all, astronomy is not even listed in the data whatsoever. So this is a new degree plan they are talking about. What variable is this 7.8 if it's talking about the 1973-74 data? Okay, so hopefully you realize that is the x value of 7.8. All right, we are now told there has a residual value in 78-79 of 5.6. So I'm going to put my residual equals 5.6. Again, residual R-E-S, not just R. So the question, what is the actual percent astronomy in 78-79? What is the actual 78-79? That's what is the actual y? That's what the question wants. Well, we have the residual, and we know that the residual relationship is residual plot, RAP. Residual R equals A minus P. So we're going to go residual equals actual y minus predicted y. All right. You should be able to obtain two of those values and solve for y. So I want you to think about that for a minute. Of course, this residual is very simple. That one's 5.6. Y is what we're solving for. But here's the thing. How can we get this predicted Y value? Use the prediction line of the data set. And the prediction line of the data set I mentioned earlier was that 1.72x plus 7. So, how can I come up with a value? How can we come up with a value? Well, plug in the x right from here. Put the 7.8 in for the x. So the predicted y equals 1.72 times the 7.8 plus 7, and that's 20.416, which I'm going to round to 20.42. So that's what was predicted to occur. So here I have my equation, 5.6 equals y minus the predicted 20.42, and use your algebra, move that on over, and the y value is 26.02. 2602 is the final answer for the actual y that occurred for astronomy. Okay. So quite a bit of moving around and figuring that out. I want you to now do the next problem. Read that to yourself. It's for education. All right, so I'm going to finish out this equation here. Add that 32.11 over. And I believe today my students were telling me somehow we're getting a y equals 41.91 something. So somewhere in that vicinity. Final answer for the actual percent of education degrees in 78, 79. All right, that's all. And we'll save H and I for next class as a little review. Okay, so there's some computing of your residuals. There is no additional homework for this assignment.